Dr. Caldwell is a board-certified, well-credentialed pediatrician from Virginia. I had the pleasure of being live with her a couple weeks ago at the Thornton's home in Virginia, and we'd like to turn it over to you, Dr. Melanie, for your experience with the past 25 years in traditional Western medicine and how you've integrated Nikken Wellness into your practice and your vision for the future. Thank you.
As Madeline mentioned, I am a pediatrician that's been practicing for the last 25 years. And in the first 5 years of my practice, I basically came out of a traditional medical school training and a traditional residency. And after about 5 or 6 years, I recognized that I continued to see children sick over and over again, despite the fact that I was practicing traditionally the way I had been trained. So at that point, I really had a heartfelt conversation with myself and decided either I was going to leave pediatrics and seek another profession, or I needed to find out what was happening to our children, because I went into pediatrics to help families raise healthy children, and I felt like I was not impacting the health and the lives of the children at that time. It was at that point that I met a Nikken consultant, and things changed from there on. One of the things that I want to say is that as a pediatrician, I see several chronic illnesses, and most of the illnesses are, rather than acute, they're more on the chronic level. But if I were to mention the first, say, 4, that would be obesity, asthma, allergies, and ADHD/neurodevelopmental issues in children. However, over the last several years, what I've noticed is I'm seeing more and more neurodevelopmental issues. Not that I'm not seeing the other chronic illnesses that we talked about, but my biggest concern is the neurodevelopmental issues in children. And I would say I spend about 85% of my day talking about neurodevelopmental issues, anywhere from ADD to ADHD, autism, language delays, speech delays, anxiety, OCD, all types of neurodevelopmental issues. And I believe that the reason we're seeing this is primarily because of our lifestyles. In particular, I want to focus on sleep. You can only imagine how complex the brain is. And so from the time of conception until that child reaches adulthood, that child's brain is growing and developing. And it's a very complex structure, and the nerves and the nerve cells need to communicate very efficiently in order to grow a healthy brain. Well, because of our lifestyles, in particular electromagnetic fields, cell phones, Wi-Fi, computers, tablets, you name it, I would say on average, most families have at least 5 internet-connected devices in their home. And as a result of that, and the level of radiation that these devices put out, it far overwhelms the body's electrical circuit, because our body's electrical as well. And these cells communicate, as I mentioned, by electrical impulses. Once you put these children into an environment that has the levels of electromagnetic radiations, for example, with Wi-Fi being 2.4 to 5 billion hertz per second, and now these smart meters that are on homes that put out some 900 billion hertz per second. So when I talk about sleep, I am talking about sleep hygiene. And there are 2 components to good quality sleep. One is not only the length of the sleep, and in children, depending on their age, they need anywhere between 8 to 12 hours of sleep. And the second component being REM sleep. So the depth of the sleep is very, very important when we're talking about growing a healthy brain. And what I can tell you from what I hear from my parents is most of the children are not sleeping. And they might appear to be in a restful state, you know, for 8 to 10 hours. But if you look at them, they're very restless. They're tossing and turning. And as a result of that, we know that is not good quality sleep. So it is my opinion that this is contributing to a lot of the neurodevelopmental issues that we see in children, because we know how important sleep is and its impact on our nervous system.
Dr.
And
Melanie,
remember, we sleep primarily for our nervous system. So in my practice, one of the things I'm excited about is that I've been able to introduce a number of Nikken products that have helped these children tremendously, not only with sleep, but other chronic issues as well. For example, I have a ton of asthmatic children, and that's a chronic illness as well. And many of these children, their primary symptom, when it's poorly controlled, is nighttime cough. So as a result of them coughing mostly during the night, we know they're not getting a good quality rest. So if they're not getting a good quality rest, their immune system does not get strengthened. They're not absorbing nutrients that they take in for the day. Their body's not restoring. So there are a number of things that are very important that should be happening during sleep that do not happen when you have chronic illness. So as a result, these children have recurrent asthmatic symptoms that are out of control and requiring multiple medications. So the Nikken products, not only the sleep system, however, the air purifier, the athletic band that we have, they have been a tremendous benefit to a number of my patients. With regard to obesity, we know children's lifestyle today is very sedentary. Our children are doing a lot more with computers and technology, which is a more sedentary lifestyle. You know, schools have removed PE from the curriculum. That further makes these children very sedentary. We know that their nutrition is not very good as well. But one other thing I'll add to that, I know for myself as a pediatrician, I have so many children that have asthma, and the mainstay of treatment for asthma has not changed in 25 years that I've been practicing. In fact, when I graduated from medical school, or from my residency, the treatment was albuterol inhaler, and children that had chronic asthma were also on an inhaled steroid, and then during the acute exacerbations, these children would be put on prednisone. Well, I don't know if you're aware, but prednisone has tremendous side effects, one of them being weight gain. So I am iatrogenically causing some of these issues in the childhood obesity as well. However, these children need to breathe, and so it's ABC. I really don't have a choice until Nikken. Now, with just adding an air purifier and cleaning the air, and sometimes I'll add jade greenzymes, which are a wonderful benefit for children with allergies and asthma and anti-inflammatory. The magnetic products also have enhanced the quality of life in many of these children.
The water, can you mention the water as well? Oh,
yeah, the water goes without saying. You know, we know our body is 70% water. The brain is some 85% water. So water is absolutely critical. I have used the water for a number of chronic illnesses, but the one I'm really excited about is I've changed the life of a young lady who had sickle cell disease at 6 years, well, all her life, but at 6 years old, she was on morphine, and simply adding the water has changed her life and the life of this family tremendously. She used to be in the hospital every 1 to 2 weeks for IV infusions, which is basically all we have to offer children with sickle cell. Just keep them hydrated. However, the alkaline water has proved to be a tremendous benefit, and this child with sickle cell has not been back to the hospital at all for at least 2 years since I introduced our PyMag waterfall.
Dr. Melanie, we just have a few minutes left, and you've mentioned a lot of medical diagnoses, and one disclaimer that we need to give is that we're a wellness company, so it's basically good air, water, food, sleep. Sure. So could you just kind of segue as you finish your last few minutes about the importance of prevention and kind of tying it back to teaching parents and why you'd like to be involved in a bigger role, how you can see that you can impact more people. If you could do that, please.
Sure. Well, as I mentioned earlier, I was I was considering, changing professions because I was so disheartened by the fact that there were so many limitations with just traditional medicine. And so the fact that I have been able to introduce these products, and it really has impacted the quality of lives of these families and these children, has really energized me and made me more enthusiastic in terms of, practicing pediatrics. So my hope is that in the future, I'm able to transition my practice. I already have a wellness practice, but I'd like to do a little bit more than what I'm doing, and actually, able to be able to share with more families some of these Nikken products. So that's what my goal is. To actually transition into a full, almost Nikken practice, if I could.
Actually, that's a nice segue to Michael DiMuccio, who's going to talk about creating large networks and the vision for the future. Michael, are you ready to begin? And Dr. Melanie would really like to thank you. Again, I just want to summarize that we don't make medical claims. It's what we want to share with our listening audience is that if a physician and a nurse, if you add the two of us together, we have 75 years of a lot of acute care experience, can see the difference in the change of the quality of lives of the people that we impact. The sense of urgency is really to share this word so that we don't have to continue introducing, especially our youth, to morphine and steroids and all the complications that occur from that. I want to applaud you for the filling up on a Sunday during our Thanksgiving weekend here in the United States, your office with many people that are listening. And for them to see that we have almost 20 different sites in 2 different countries. And this is a way that you and your guests and your patients and their families can help more people. You don't have to be a nurse and you don't have to be a pediatrician to do that. So I would like to thank you very much. And Michael DiMuccio, are you ready to begin?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. I want to first of all say congratulations to Dr. Melanie. I've been at this almost 26 years. Next month will be 26 years for me. And you can imagine I've learned what she is learning as a medical professional from a non-medical background. But when the obvious is obvious, if you've got a heart, you're compelled to tell other people. And what I have witnessed in my 26 years tenure with this technology in its various configurations, and as it's continued to add and become more robust and more integrated into the concept we refer to as the wellness home, I have seen success story after success story from the most impossible things, what appeared to be impossible when attested to from the side of the medical profession, who, for the most part, have not been educated on wellness. They've been educated on the diagnosis of sickness, which hopefully, if we do our job right, that will be something that becomes a diminishing concern. In other words, an investment in health is not the treatment of illness or the treatment of pain or the treatment of the symptoms that the doctor is experiencing. That is a global concern, not just a North American concern, an increasing concern. Hopefully, our work will diminish the kind of diagnosis that we're seeing, because people will be healthier and be able to mitigate the challenges of this modern age, which is the bombardment of the body from foreign agents, things like Wi-Fi and cell phones. We haven't even begun to see what the scientists and the doctors are going to reveal, I'm certain, in the next decade as to the effects, which could even be more concerning than what we're already seeing. So I know that the work that we have to do is something that is relevant and important, more so today than when I first joined Nikken 26 years ago. Now, consider this. We're going to switch gears for a second here. Fortunes have been made in the treatment or the diagnosis and treatment of illness. In fact, one of the largest industries on the planet is the pharmacological industry, the pharmaceutical industry. And what's interesting is that curve that you see on my screen here. You could say that the profits of the pharmaceutical industry is the green arrow, and the state of health of the population is the red arrow. Do you notice the correlation? Well, this is not what we want. As a society, as a species, it's simply counterintuitive and counterproductive to be going in this direction. The economy needs to be flipped around. In other words, what if it was profitable to be healthy? What if it was profitable to treat well-being? Which means what exactly? It means nourishing the body, providing the body with what it needs in order for it to be healthy and vibrant and active and etc. So what if it was as profitable? Now, we know that in the world, economics drives pretty much everything, from the choices that you make as to what you're going to have for food, to what you're going to wear as clothing, except to where you're going to show up for work. Economics drives pretty much every major decision in our life. So if it was profitable to be healthy, which we still as a population haven't correlated yet, because quite frankly, think about how much it costs for you to be sick. And think of the strain and the drain on the economy where your personal economy is concerned. Most people spend most of their life acquiring things, and then the second half of their life losing those things to medical costs. This is simply not logical. And so what we in Nikken are doing is helping to sort of shake the tree and remind people that they have a brain, they can use it, and make logical choices, logical decisions, which are simply do what's in your best interest. And it is in everyone's best interest to remain healthy. And so our concept of health doesn't end with the physical body. It may start there where everyone is introduced to Nikken. For me, it was the same. I was introduced to a product that in a matter of 15 minutes was able to bring relief to my back that nothing could after a year and a half of physiotherapy, chiropractic care, massage therapy for a year and a half. And then in 15 minutes, I had relief for the first time from this ludicrous, simple, unheard of magnet technology. Well, unheard of, ludicrous, or whatever, and regardless of where the source of that information came from, what mattered the most was it worked. And not only did it work, but it had no negative side effects. Show me a drug that can make that claim. So all of a sudden, I went from being somebody who benefited immediately from the product to somebody who needed to tell other people about it. First person I shared it with was my dad. He was actually in a room next door to me here. I'm at his place. And he had problems with his sciatica. And literally within 2 nights of sleeping with this thing over the small of his back, he went from a guy limping around the house in terrible pain to a person who had a life again, and gave him mobility and flexibility and energy, so much so that he went and became enthusiastic himself. He told some people at work about it and asked me if I could get some more for his friends. So that's when things started to click for me, that when you tell something, you give something good to somebody, especially if it affects them in a meaningful way, they're going to tell other people about it. Well, it turns out that for Nikken, this story, which began almost 43 years ago, is how this company has remained profitable and has gone to the extent of growing in 4 continents, millions of people worldwide, without borrowing money. Again, show me a company that's a multinational that doesn't have a huge debt on its balance sheets. So this company has grown organically through word of mouth. They haven't paid off governments. They haven't paid off medical professionals to create false documents. They haven't needed double-blind studies to prove anything because there are no negative side effects. So right under our nose, almost in the opposite direction of everything we know about health, this company has made a tremendous impact. And as a result, those who have been the people introducing this to the world, person after person, home after home, and now generation after generation, these are people who have created a financial windfall or a supplement to their current financial needs. So if we look at stress, what is the number one cause of stress? And it's not hard to figure that out. The number one cause of stress in most people's life, of these 5 pillars of health that we refer to, is finances. So if we're truly going to tackle wellness, the real subject of wellness, the total wellness, recognizing that a human being is holistic in nature. There are many moving parts to a person. One of those moving parts is the need for financial income, a need for stability in that so that they can provide for themselves, their family, and their lifestyle. So finances becomes a key component to our conversation of total wellness. And this is where Nikken has, again, looked at the issue from a very different perspective. Most people have been educated to have a job, or what we call a profession or a vocation. Each one of those circumstances will lead to inevitably the problem of the lack of finances. How is that possible? People are working hard, and yet they're still struggling financially. And the answer is because the remedy is the cause of the problem. And so regardless of how you're getting stressed, whether it's finances, whether it's physical, whether it's time crunch or lifestyle issues, stress is stress, and financial stress is top of the heap. So whether it's a lack of money, healthcare costs, too much debt, cost of living, loss of employment, education expenses, which is a big deal now, retirement savings, taxes, whatever it is that's causing this has also perpetuated, much like in the wellness industry, a solution. There's a new solution coming in the economy. And this solution is being referred to as the gig economy. It's actually the answer to the stress that most people are living as a result of trading time for money. And so this gig economy, just give you an example of a gig economy. Right in the middle of that page, you see a company called Uber. Here's a company that just came out of nowhere and literally took over the taxi industry. They transport more people than anybody in the world right now. And so what's the magic? How did they do that? How did they become so big and so successful so quickly? The answer was really simple. They devised a more efficient way to operate. And technically speaking, Uber is not only the largest taxi company in the world, but they don't even own a single taxi. That's kind of weird. That's a different economy. And so the answer to health is wellness. The answer to a financial problem is another financial solution. And the solution is something similar to what Uber has done. They've empowered people to become self-employed with flexible hours, with a turnkey system that enables anybody who has a car to go out there and make money anytime they want. That's a pretty efficient and neat way of doing things. And it doesn't end there. Lyft is another example of that, or Airbnb, the largest provider of accommodations, and they don't even have a single hotel room. And so this new way of doing things, by connecting people to a solution, but enabling those people to become self-employed and to have the flexibility of the time that they want, is what's called the gig economy. And that is a solution for a lot of people to either add some extra income to their home or to completely change the way they earn their income in the first place. Now, we take a look at the economy of this. Here's a company, Uber, that only February 11, 2011, 6 years ago, was worth $60 million. Today is bigger than General Motors. You just think of all the moving parts of General Motors. All the people who show up like clockwork at those factories all over the place, all the cars sitting in lots all over the place, waiting to be sold, with built-in redundancy because they need to keep making new cars or that industry dies. So we've got a completely inefficient way of doing cars, which Elon Musk is taking care of pretty quickly. So here we got Uber that is now $68 billion, a company that doesn't own a car. They just simply empowered people to take what they got and make the most of it. Here's another example, right under our nose. In the last 5 years, a company called Amazon went from 83 billion to 385 billion, almost double the size of Walmart. Now, we know how to shop at Walmart. You get in your car, you drive across town, you go to one of their buildings, you load up your car, you take your stuff home, you unload your stuff, and that's the experience of Walmart. Where do you shop when you shop at Amazon? On your phone. You could do that sitting on your toilet. That's pretty efficient, anytime, anywhere. And now that simple solution has resulted in world domination in terms of retail. And it's just getting started. You're going to see retail outlets knocked off all over the place. So the answer is always more effective, always more efficient, and always bigger economy. So what's the answer for this health crisis that we're in? Well, the answer is help people find a better way to deal with their economy, their personal economy, find a better way to be employed. And this is the gig economy, freelance workers. So this is taking the world by storm. We're looking at a trend that is not slowing down, but picking up, and it affects all ages. It affects people from the millennials who are just coming out of school and looking for opportunities, but are finding there's not much room in the workplace because it's all being taken by the Gen Xers and the baby boomers who won't leave. And the baby boomers are trying not to retire because they don't have the money to retire. So this is a big problem. How do we answer the problem? We provide a new economy, and that's where this gig economy comes in. And Nikken is the perfect company to integrate in this new system. The Nikken Advantage is really simple. It's something that allows you to integrate into your existing life. So we all have a need to sleep, drink water, have good nutrition, so forth. So the Nikken products completely integrate into our life and enhance our life. But Nikken is a business of social activity. We talk to people And now we're finding ways to do that online. We're doing that through social media, etc. And so we're able to share the message of Nikken in ways that are much more efficient than maybe 5 or 10 or 20 years ago when I first got started. The barrier for entry is next to nothing. 99 bucks, you're in business. Even if you're an Uber driver, it costs more than that. First of all, you have to have a phone, which means you have to have a phone plan. That's more than 90 bucks for most people. On top of that, you have to have a car or access to one. Plus, it's got to be insured. Plus, you have to have gas. You know, before you walk out the door to make any money, and with Uber, you're spending $500 to $800 a month already. Well, here for $99, you have a turnkey business that allows you to plug into a company that's operating, multinational, with all of the infrastructure in place to take care of the heavy lifting, kind of like the Amazon of health. And we have a leadership development plan for somebody who's looking to really take this on and maybe make a career of it, where you develop your ability to be an entrepreneur, which is something that more and more people are choosing. Whether you have a full-time income already in a job, most people are adding a supplemental income as an entrepreneur. And so to develop yourself in that way, personal development side of this is a huge component of success. So it's literally the perfect gig. We teach people how to do the 2 most important things you could ever learn to do if you ever hope to have financial freedom. You need to learn how to leverage, and you need to learn how to compound. Just consider this for a moment. Every city that is watching this, in every one of your cities, you have the tallest buildings in those cities. Typically, who owns the tallest buildings of the city? Banks and insurance companies. And what is it that banks and insurance companies do to become very successful? They leverage and compound other people's money. Hello? Those are the 2 biggest components of success financially. Well, the wealthy, which is 1% of the population, that's what they do, leverage and compound. 4% are financially independent. 95%, a whopping 95%, the majority of which have a job, will always be financially dependent. And so how do we get out of the rat race? How do we get out of that system of trading time for money? We've got to learn how to compound and how to leverage. And that's what we do with the gig economy. That's what we do with Nikken. And Nikken is simply the Uber. It's Airbnb. It's the Amazon. It's the background. It's the mechanism that we apply to become self-sufficient as entrepreneurs in this new economy called the wellness economy. Well, if the sick care economy is almost $3 trillion, fortunes have been made and continue to be made. You know, their CEOs get paid tens of millions of dollars a year. Well, if there's that much money in health, imagine how much money there is in wellness. And so there's a future here if you're looking for an income. There's a system here if you're looking to plug in, yet feel like, well, I've never done health before, or I've never done wellness before, or I've never done entrepreneurship before. That's okay. A lot of people never did Uber before either. But we do something in common. We have social conversations with people all the time. Instead of talking about the weather or the score of the football game, we talk about health. We just change the conversation. And that's what people want anyway. And they're interested, they're open-minded, and we have a mechanism to plug them in. Every time we talk to somebody, it's like dropping a seed in the soil. You just don't know what's going to happen. Some of those seeds sprout and turn into customers. Some of those seeds turn into consultants. And Nikken takes care of all the difficult thing. You join for $99. Number 2, you share and promote the products in our opportunity. You invite people, number 3, to enjoy these benefits. Number 4, Nikken ships the products, takes care of the inventory, does all the product development, all the research and development, all the warehousing, all the delivery, all the money transaction, all done. You don't have to do that. What they do then is reward those people who participated on the 15th of the following month by putting money in your account directly. They don't even send a check. Way too slow, way too inefficient. So this is the world we now live in. And to be able to plug into this and take advantage of it is critical if you want to have the harvest. Now, those little seedlings, some of those seedlings can become pretty big trees of their own. You know, I started in a bedroom in my father's house. And from that bedroom, I was able to introduce this business to a few key people. Turns out those people introduced it to other people, and so on and so forth. Some of those people became rather large business builders in Nikken. Not because I joined, and not because I motivated them, but because they were self-motivated. They had their own reasons to do what they're doing. Today, I enjoy the benefits of a business that's scattered in over 22 countries. And every one of those people are out there doing this for their reasons, just like every Uber driver is out there doing it for their reasons. So imagine you giving birth to something that is going to continue to grow. And the only question you have to ask yourself is this going to grow? Does this have a future? Does this conversation, does this subject, does this technology have a future? If you can see that as a for sure, then it's like Bitcoin. You know it's got a future. You know it's going forward. So participate. And Nikken allows us to participate and profit from that by sharing this information. And like I said, we do it any number of ways. You could have had 10 guests of your own on this call today, and we would have done all the heavy lifting for you. So today is not the day maybe for you to get started, or to entertain that, but maybe next week when we do another one of these, you'll be able to have people plug in. Well, just to wrap up here, we've got every number of ways that we can get compensated from. On the left-hand side, the immediate retail profits. So the second you join Nikken for 99 bucks, you have a retail store. It's online. You can share that information with somebody. They can go online and buy straight from your store, and Nikken sends you the profits automatic. We have cash bonuses, reward points, lifestyle bonuses, trips, incentives, and my favorite, way over here on the right-hand side, is the leadership bonuses. Those trees that develop trees of their own, well, they keep doing that, producing fruit of their own, month after month, year after year. And pretty soon what happens is your income can exceed on a part-time basis what most people would even only dream of having on an annual basis. I'm just one example of many, and many, many more to come. So thanks for listening to me.